And yes, for a Renault, it doesn't actually look too bad. I mean, it's not quite the styling that I would normally have opted for when at a dealership, but it isn't that bad either. It's certainly not ugly in a traditional sense. I mean, put this next to a Fiat Multipla, and which one would you pick? Well, you'd obviously pick this. It's far less ugly. Yes, I've been covering a lot of French cars. Renault Grand Scenic. Well, I guess we can start with the fact that it's a much better looker than its predecessor. There's lots of things to like about this for a French car. And as you already know if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm quite biased against French automobiles. Its styling cues are sleek and futuristic. Its wheels are oversized compared to models of previous eras. And its proportions are way better than the model that came before it. The other thing I found astonishing was the use of the 1.2 TCE engine, which is a 1200 turbocharged petrol. It generates an impressive 130 horsepower. Unfortunately, there's a catch. That means you've got virtually no torque to speak of. To make matters worse, a quick Google search will show you lots and lots of people having problems with this engine, and it's kind of unfortunate. Despite these failings, I actually found it quite fun to drive, and it did have far better road handling than the previous model. Also, there was a fair degree of performance considering the small engine size. The low cabin noise gives it a premium feel, and the interior is actually quite nice, as I'm about to show you. So what have we got here? Some drab one-color door cards. It's not all bad though. The pockets are good size, the switches are nice, the little chrome touches are really good, and the leather finish with the stitching is quite good. Just a shame there isn't more colours available here. These seats are cloth and have a very interesting feel to them. Also got this sporty finish here. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest, but they are comfortable enough. Lack of legroom in here upset me immediately, and I'm not just talking about the front. Every single seat in here is cramped. For a 7-seat, I'm quite disappointed. What have we got here? A premium finish, nice leather coated steering wheel with awesome buttons. Shame about the Renault logo in the center, but that's just me being biased. Central instrument cluster is nice, simple, easy to read, and I've got to admit I'm relatively impressed. The only thing I dislike is the way the bars are represented, but that's a minor gripe. Overall, this dashboard's very good. And consistency, the door cards are the same color as the dash, the vents are the same shape, and it's got a lovely central dash piece, which we'll talk about in more detail. Let's talk about this dash segment. I personally feel if they could have spaced the vents a little bit more or changed their position slightly, they could have made the screen larger, which would have been no bad thing. However, the screen size is okay, and it's actually positioned well enough that I can reach to it no problem from a driver's position. And I'm happy with that. The semi-touchscreen dashboard buttons are also quite interesting, and I must say I was impressed with that. Nice simple dials, and overall the finish is very classy. This little chrome strip is interesting. It's thinner than most I've seen on cars recently, and it's not all bad. We've got a nice straightforward gear stick, and even though it sprouts from the dashboard, I actually think it's been done reasonably well, and it's sitting about the right height, I feel. It's got that usual parking brake, the annoying one where you have to put your foot firmly on the brake before it'll release. Start stop button has been mounted right over here because the key looks like this. It's the Renault card style key. It's not too bad. I've never been a fan of this design, but I get why people like it. When I first got in this thing, I was laughing because there's a set of cup holders down here that you can't access, and I just thought it was a very stupid design. But then I figured out why. You have to press this little button in under here, and then you can pull it back. Okay, I'll give Renault points for that. I quite like that. So after we managed to figure out that this section pulls out, we get two nice cup holders. We get this lovely drawer system here with an incredibly deep pocket here that I'm very happy with. And then behind that, you get this lift up section with the USBs in it. I also approve. Notice that French cars of the past had the storage compartments in the dashboard, and they don't seem to do that anymore. I wonder if it's now a safety concern. Perhaps it is. But anyway, the glove box. Disappointingly small, but manageable. Rear door cards match the front ones. Door pocket is slightly smaller, but no big deal. The legroom looks really impressive, until you would have to adjust the seat forward so that you can fit for the third row. And all of a sudden, that legroom shrinks. Now, I could have a bit more legroom there, be removed to add extra for the third row, but the child seat kind of interferes with that. Now, I could put the passenger seat forward, and I'm honestly thinking about putting it further forward as is, just to try and make it all work. What do we have back here? USB power points. I like this. Separate 12-volt socket. I also like this. Storage compartment, which is actually a drawer. Very, very good. Renault, I am very impressed by this particular piece of design work. It should become immediately apparent to anyone having a look at this that that drawer system is all for naught, that fancy design on the center console, because there's no legroom for either row. There's just no way you can make this any better. And it's very, very disappointing. It doesn't seem to matter how you adjust these seats. The only real way to do it is to fold it down, which negates two of the seats straight away. So you can't really utilize it as a 7-seater practically. Alright, you managed to squeeze yourself in the back, and lucky you don't have any legs. So I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, or maybe you're a wasp and legroom doesn't matter. Anyway, you have cup holders, which are pretty much useless. They're too shallow. You have a seatbelt mounted above you on the roof, which would be incredibly annoying. And on the other side, you have a matching useless cup holder. So that's about it, really. Here's another thing that really gets on my nerves, right? It's very stylized, very sleek, yeah. Renault, kind of fancy, whatever. But you've only got a back window this size. And when you have a back window this size, you're not going to be able to see anything out of it when you're in the driver's seat. So normally how companies like Jaguar and things get around this is to fit a reverse camera standard. Either up here, maybe down here. Is that what Renault did? No. They just expected you to manage with a couple of parking sensors that are probably going to fail in the first 4 years. And then you're going to have no idea where you are. Let's talk about luggage capacity, shall we? There is none. This has got the typical problem that I talk about the 7-seaters have in the European market. There's nothing here. You can fit 2 bags of shopping in there if you're lucky. Can you fit an actual buggy in there? Only if it's a very compact small one. So what's the point of this space? If I have to stick a roof box on the top of this thing, it was badly designed in the first place. Does nobody understand what I mean here? So we discussed earlier the legroom's no good. And that's for any of the seats. Even the passenger side's a bit cramped. I mean, I have a child seat back there just now. In fact, I have all 3 in. Just to demonstrate how ineffective this thing is as a 7-seater. But it drives well. And I guess that's something. Imagine this as an estate platform without the third row. And you'd actually have something reasonably good on your hands. It has a sporty feel. It corners well. It's got a not bad acceleration for something its size. And it has that kind of sporty appearance in the way it's designed and things. The nice big wheels kind of give that indicator as well. You know, the way they're trying to sell this as a sports model, not as a child moving minivan. So I guess you could argue this is trying to be something it's not. It's trying to be a sporty machine when really it should be trying to be an MPV, and it should be trying to be practical. And I think that's one of the unfortunates about this. From what I've heard, the Grand Scenic is now discontinued, and I'm not really surprised. It suffers from chronic lack of space. This car needed to be at least 12 to 14 inches longer, at least, to offer any semblance of comfort and legroom. I'm not sure how Renault decided that this was good enough to let it through. Was the target market just owners with no legs? Was that the idea? And it's even more disappointing the fact that the rest of it's actually not too bad. Had it not been for this one glaringly obvious problem, I would have had to admit that this is pretty good for a French car. But as it stands, I just pretty much have to call it another French lemon. So hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, like and subscribe. If you didn't, perhaps you'd like something else that we made. People seem to love the import videos, so don't forget to check them out. I can only do reviews on imports when I get access to them. So if you have an import car and you want to see it on the channel, don't worry about getting in touch. There's always contact details in the description. And don't forget, until next time, look after yourselves.